Welcome to Chuck Builds. This is a video series on how to build your own website. Chuck builds a website. If you're watching this, you're probably already in the playlist. At the time of recording this, I need to update Formbricks from version 2.5 to version 2.7, and there is a breaking update in the way that it uses Postgres with some upcoming AI features. So we'll be going from using Postgres latest to PG Vector, PG 15. If you've already followed my guide, depending on when you watched it, you might need to follow this video. I've updated my initial Docker Compose to include this PG Vector 15. So if yours says PG Vector 15, you should be good to go and no additional action is required by you. If you've already done this and you did not do this PG Vector 15 and you're here wondering why your Formbricks isn't working, I've got two options for you. You can follow along with me in this video where I will try to save the existing database, update our Postgres to PG 15, and then run a migration guide and then re-transfer over the database. Option two is to go into your Portainer and simply delete your volume for Postgres and for Formbricks and for Redis. If you delete the three of those in your volume section, it should come right back up. You'll create a new account and it's like starting from scratch. You just lose your existing forms and responses. So as I said, we're going to be going from Postgres, which I previously had set to latest, not 15. So it was on Postgres 16. So the first thing we need to do is going to be backing up our database. And we're going to have to run a Docker command here. If you remember with Hetzner, we have our primary firewall set to only allow things through Caddy. So I need to apply a firewall for SSH, and I'm going to go ahead and apply one for Portainer as well. I'll apply these two firewalls. And I now need to go to my networking tab and get my reverse DNS to access this all. And I'm going to cut this for the video because I don't want to share this with the world, but you go to networking and then reverse DNS. You want to remember to use HTTPS in your address bar, and you need to remember to use port 9443 to access Portainer, and you'll log in and you should be greeted with something like this. If we go to our stack section in Portainer, we can see all of our existing containers running. And if we click on Postgres, we can see that our version is 16 is the major version, and we're on Postgres latest. So we need to get that updated. And then you're also going to be familiar with your database login and password. Mine are the defaults here for the sake of the video. I didn't want to share that with the world. Something else that we're going to need is PuTTY. I've already got it installed, but PuTTY is what we're going to use to SSH in. So I'm now into PuTTY and I'm connected to my server. I have some code here that I got from the migration guide. There's a code here to back up Postgres, but I have a different Postgres username. So I'm going to edit this in VS Code, have the right version hopefully, and I'll paste this and run it. So when I ran the command, they used a container name as Formbricks _ Postgres _1. Mine is just PostgreSQL, so I had to change that. And we got the output of several files here that got dumped from the container. So if you type ls, it'll show you what's in the folder, and we got a bunch of dump files. So that's great, we can leave them there. So with that file backed up, we can grab the new Postgres vector for our command. And I'm going to note in my stack that I was previously running Postgres 16. I'm going to try and stick to 16. I really don't want to go to 15 if I don't have to, because it's going to cause a whole bunch of issues for me. But we'll go to stacks, grab our stack and then our editor. And I'm going to change my Postgres image to PG 16 for PG Vector. And I'm going to click update the stack, repull image, and redeploy. This is also going to update Formbricks. So this is going to break my Formbricks instance as soon as this finishes running. All right, so my stack just redeployed. If we go to the Formbricks logs, we're going to see actually that it's ready. It applied a migration already, but according to the migration guide, we need to run a command first, also in SSH. And so I'm going to copy this here, and I have it in my VS Code here. And the biggest change is going to be for your username and password. And so for mine, I have Postgres_user, Postgres_password. They don't call that out in their version. It just says Postgres. The first one is the user and the second one is the password. And then the network stack, theirs is Formbricks_default. You can check this in Portainer by going to your actual container for Postgres and then scrolling down. And it'll say it down here as connected networks. And mine is ghost-stack_default. So I'm just going to copy that and paste it up here. If you followed my previous guide, it'll say the name of your stack and then _default. It's just kind of the way it looks. And then the last thing I want to call out, in their code, they just have their container called Postgres. And if you're following my guide closely, it's actually going to be PostgreSQL is the name of the container. So we'll copy all of this. We'll go to PuTTY and we'll just hit paste and then enter. So here we can see it says data migration completed. Total time was 0.13 seconds. And they don't say to do this. I'm just going to do it anyways. I'm going to come in here and hit restart on Postgres and Formbricks and Redis and just come restart those containers just so it's kind of fresh. I'm almost scared to click this, but I'm going to do it and check on the connection data for Formbricks, and it says it's ready. So we'll go to our domain, and we auto logged in from my saved cookie and my existing forms were saved. So I'm really happy this seems to have worked. I don't know why I couldn't do this for the Chuck Builds one earlier. I really had some issues. And thankfully, we also did not need to use our dump file of our database. We didn't have to restore from a backup because nothing went wrong. And if you did have an issue where you needed to restore your files, you would use a very similar command to the backup, but you would use, instead of pg dump, pg_restore. Thankfully, in this scenario, we don't need to because everything worked the first time. We don't have any errors in our Formbricks, and we don't have any errors in our Postgres. Now, I want to call out that I didn't follow the guide explicitly. And the main area where I didn't do it that might come back to bite us is I used PG16 instead of their suggested PG15. I was using 16 during all of the setup, and it worked fine just by using Postgres latest. So PG vector, PG16 seems to work just fine, and I'm not going to sweat it too much, but I just want to call that out that is a difference there. So to recap this video, we updated our Formbricks to the latest version of 2.7, and we also did our migration on our Postgres database to support this update. The reason we had to do this migration was because they are moving to PG Vector, which will enable AI features. We previously had used just Postgres latest, and it says here that we should have been using Postgres 15. We've been using Postgres 16 without issue, and so I changed it from PG 15 to PG 16 here, and it worked fine. But for now, I'm just happy our Formbricks is working and that we're on version 2.7.2 without any real issue. If you try to follow this and you can't get it to work and you've troubleshooted and you're frustrated and you're done with it, I've been there. I had that with my Chuck Builds a Website version, and I'll show you how I got around this migration. If you go to stacks and then choose your stack and then stop it, you can come down to volumes and select Postgres data, select Formbricks data, and select Redis data, and then click remove. And then when you restart your stack, it'll recreate those files, and it will be as if you're starting from scratch for the first time. There won't be that much setup that you have to do because most of the information is going to be saved in our compose file. You'll just have to create that admin account for the first time, but please note, you're going to lose all of your forms, all of your users, and all of your previous responses. For me, that's not really a problem. I'm not using it in that manner or that seriously. I use it every now and then, ad hoc when I need it, and then I delete them anyway. I just want to let you know that you could lose it, and that would be the easier way to do this. Be sure to check out the rest of this video series on how to use Formbricks, and thanks for watching. If something didn't go according to plan, I'm going to try to help, but I'm really not an expert at this. Your best bet's going to be going to Formbricks and their Discord